Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the elusive Tuesday stream. Um, why is that blurry again? I don't know. Seems to think there's extra light coming that there isn't. But welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me on Tuesday. Sorry for the last minute schedule change. It's only last minute because I'm not organized. I'm not going to be home tomorrow, and I was debating if I was going to stream this week, but I wanted to get something in. So we're gonna do it today, and it might be a kind of a long one. Um, but we'll see. We've got plenty of time. I have plenty of fun stuff to work on. Unlike last week where we looked at a bunch of stuff before the stream, I don't really have anything to show off today. So I figured today, we can just dive into some coding. Let me show y'all what I was thinking we could work on today. Actually, let me also pull my phone so I can remind everyone what we've actually done so far. Give me 1 second. Nice. There's the phone. Let's throw that over here. So what we did last week, for those of you who were around, we worked on navigation. So we looked at like if I type in some email and password stuff, and I click login, we have animated navigation onto our home screen. And this is just the demo task repository popping this up. Um, that's what we did last week. We worked on the navigation. I feel like we did something else last week. Oh, we did some testing. I am behind on getting these streamed or getting last week's stream up to YouTube, but I'm going to try to get last week's and today's on YouTube. At least get them on tonight and then schedule them so that while I'm gone, I don't have to worry about it. But the next thing I was thinking we could do is we could work on the sort of like add task functionality. That seems like the next logical step. So what I had in mind for that, I put a little checklist down at the bottom of the stream. Um, I had thought about doing the UI first, which we could do. I had kind of mocked something up on this already. Um, but I was actually thinking it might make a little more sense to maybe do like the domain logic first. Um, this is something that could go sort of any way, but that was kind of the order of operations that I thought of. So that's my plan for tonight. Let me know if you have any questions before we start or ideas. Um, Otherwise, we can dive right in to some of this. So I also want to go back to um, being on top of like actually using the GitHub uh, project boards that we've created. So no, don't call in sick tomorrow. You're not gonna miss anything too special, I don't think. You can always watch it on YouTube and stuff. Um, But I want to go back to making sure I'm using the YouTube integration. I made all this planning and these project boards, so we're going to try to go back to using these. So we're going to work on issue number 18, which is dealing with the store, edit, and delete task use cases. I think for today, let's just try to do the domain logic for storing and deleting tasks. I suppose we could like mock out a use case for edit, but let's we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to start off by making a new branch. I'm going to call this TOA. What did I say the issue was? 18? Yes. Um, we'll call it task management use cases. And also later in the stream, I'm going to show y'all something cool I learned about Android Studio today. Uh, but we'll have to wait till after our first pull request, and then I'll show you. So spoiler on something cool coming up. Um, but let's do a recap for those of you who might be joining for the first time on some of our organization so we can um, talk about where this code is going to go. So we already have, let's think about this. Because as with every stream, I start to do something and I think a little bit about past experiences and whether or not something was the right way to do it. Um, But we've got this. Okay, so the way our file structure is organized is, I hope this isn't too small, um, but it's kind of by feature. Well, there's the core package, but then we've got it by feature. So we've got login and we've got task list. And so the way I think it makes sense now, well, there's a couple. Okay, so let me talk through what I'm thinking about. Um, Features that I could see us putting into different folders are like add task and like maybe edit task and delete task. But some of this stuff, there's some things that are kind of shared, right? Like let's say, so we have this more specifically in task list, we have like this domain repository, we have this task list repository that right now has this function to fetch all tasks. But this task list repository, we should document this. Um, this is the data contract for any request to fetch or modify tasks. Um, I guess that's it. To fetch or modify tasks. So inside here, we would have like another suspending function, like insert task or add task. We'll call it add task. And that'll take in some task. And then, I don't know, I guess we'll want like just to know like if that worked or not. But as we start adding those other pieces, to me, this no longer belongs inside like the task list domain. And so I'm wondering, um, if we should refactor it, or we could keep it here for now, and then later on in the stream we could think about moving it around. Um, that's my thought process. We will, maybe we will leave it here for now, and then we can consider moving it around. But those are my thoughts. Something that I think we might want to sort out later. Um, but let's run with this. We can start here. So before we implement each of our individual use cases, we're going to need to have a repository um, up to date with all possible ways of manipulating a task, right? So, and let's throw documents on here while we're at it. So request all of the tasks that have been created for the signed in user. This one will be add a new task for the signed in user to complete. Um, we said we'll not worry about edit for right now. Let's just throw in some domain logic for add and delete, right? So we could have like suspend fun, delete task, um, that'll use the result, and then we'll say delete the supplied task from the user's task list. And I guess actually another one, while we're just thinking about domain logic and not really working on the UI, um, I'm kind of wondering if I want to do like a mark as complete or something like that. I've got a separate ticket for that actually, I think. We've got allow user to complete a task. We can deal with that later. Let's just deal with these sort of add and delete tasks. Um, so now that we have them in our repository, we also want to make a use case for each one. So in case y'all haven't been here for the use case discussion, I can link some notes on that. But what use cases are like individual interfaces, which are really just a single function that mark some piece of work that needs to be done. So all tasks that the user has created. Um, Good question here. Why are we declaring repository as an interface for a different implementation use case? Yes, exactly. So um, the biggest reason is, anything that depends on the repository, um, all it should need to know is like, I need to fetch data. And these all return a result class, which is basically a sealed class that has a success and failure. And so this just defines a contract saying I need to request some data. It could fail, it could succeed, but this is the data I want. And I don't care where it comes from. I don't care if this repository is a database or a network service or some combination of those two things, um, but just defines the contract. So it's a way of creating like a separation of concerns. It's also helpful for testability. So now, if I have something that depends on this repository, when I'm writing tests, um, I can create like a mock implementation. Yeah, exactly. Like Tigrexis? I hope I said that right. Yeah, we can create like our own test implementation. So now that we have those, so a use case, I talked about this briefly. A lot of people will feel like use cases are over engineering, and we've already hashed out this debate on the channel. I don't entirely disagree, but it's something I really wanted to try out for this project to create like one additional layer of separation between um, our repository and our actual like view model or whatever else. So we basically want to have a use case for each repository method. So the next one is we're going to make an add task use case. Now, where should that live? Um, I don't really want to put this again inside the task list folder. I think I might make a new directory where we could do like add task. And then we'll throw in like domain use cases. That's sort of our package structure convention from before. And then here we'll put in add task use case. Now these are also interfaces. Um, and what we usually put on these is like an operator function, invoke, that will take some arguments. And then we need this to return something. And this is another thing that we've debated on the channel is like, what should your use case return? Um, Now I could just do, like I said, if I want to know if it succeeds or not, kind of like in the repository level, we could do like a result of type unit. So then we just return result.success or result.failure. Well, let's talk about this again. We can think about this some more. Give it a new task, store that in the user's task list. Um, let's talk about this a little bit. I always like to revisit these things, even if we have already talked about them. The day that we started adding use cases, we hashed this out for like an hour or two. But let me show you in a past example what we came up with. So we added, for our use case, we had this sealed class called a login result. And this is basically a collection of possible results for an attempt to log in. So you had, right, like your success information, or we had a failure. And within that, we had any specific explanations about why it might fail. So invalid credentials, some unknown failure, empty credentials, like if the email was empty or the password was empty. And I think this concept would be good for the add task result because I could see this becoming something where we might want to do some sort of input validation, or maybe there's an error trying to add a task. Like, I don't know what an error would be. Um, like, we're not going to say, like, task already exists, right? Because you might need to do something more than once. Um, so maybe I'm over engineering it for this specific example. Um, I was thinking about making an add task result class that was kind of like this, that would have like success or failure, um, which I could still do, and I could just have it be those two things. Um, hmm, but I don't know if that's worth it. I'm gonna vote no on that, actually. Thanks for letting me rubber duck that. Uh, the reason, well, so because that's what this does right now, right? Um, this result class is either success or error. The only reason I would consider duplicating this code and calling it, say, add task result is because then I've now created like a namespace that anything using this use case would have. So I would only have to change like that one spot, right? I wouldn't have to worry about refactoring this method and anything that uses this result. But I think that I will risk eating my words later and keep it simple for now. Um, so let's do the same for delete task. Let's just throw that in. I also don't know if I'm going to ever implement like a delete task. Because if we look at the app, maybe I shouldn't call it delete task. Maybe I should call it like complete, or mark as done. Although maybe we could add like a delete at some point, and this will be relevant. We could do both because I think what we're doing here is not a whole lot of work. Um, because the method signature for deleting a task is actually almost the same. Uh, we can just replace this delete task use case. Delete any reference of that in the user's task list. Hey Raphael, how are you? Um, and I am going to, on this note, let's also throw in wherever a repository was. Um, let's do a mark as complete. We're doing good. Um, and this, because this logic for completing a task does lie inside the task list screen, that's where we're going to put that use case. We're going to go inside here and we'll do mark task as complete use case. And invoke takes up a task. That'll be a result unit as well. We are just working on doing the sort of, we're throwing in some repository methods and use cases for some of the task management work. And then once we have these, I'm gonna try to build out some of the UI for like adding a task. But I want to get some of the quick info in first. Um, completed, so it's no longer, or no longer shown in the to-do list. And I think actually before we commit this code, one thing we're going to have to worry about is this demo repository now needs to be updated. Um, and I can't remember. There we go. There's the keyboard shortcut. Um, we can add all those, and we can put those as like not yet implemented for now. This is just our demo repository. But once we actually hook this up, we can work with it. So I think that is the domain logic, actually. These cases to. Oh, nice. I'm glad that it was helpful. I can't wait to see what you're working on. Add, delete, complete, fast. And I think, is that it? Update the repository to store new or edited tasks. Yeah. So before we push this, let's also, we have to keep our stream history file going. It's getting quite long. Um, stream 12, task management. So in this stream, started working on the task management, logic, and UI. And we're going to have some PRs here. First one will be use cases. And let's commit this code. We'll make a pull request. And then once we do this, I can show you all something new I learned about Android Studio uh, today. Just gotta wait for that to push. We'll call this an enhancement. And this will be, we can also note this is for number 18. Um, projects, task management. Nice. So, what did I learn today? Well, I learned from a coworker that Android Studio has a pull request tab all the way to the left here, below project. If you don't see this, you may need to go to like view um, tool windows and find it, but there is a pull request window that once you authenticate with GitHub, it will show you the pull requests inside this repository. So if I refresh, I can actually see this pull request that I made. And if I double click on it, I see all sorts of cool stuff. So I see like the history in here. This is the title. This is like the description, any commits, the label that I added. Um, and then here I could see like a list of everything that changed. Um, we can like group by directory and module. There's all sorts of stuff in here. I can submit a review right from Android Studio. What I thought is cool is here I can see view diff, and now I can see file by file with like an IDE comparison of the two files, which is way more friendly to me than trying to review in GitHub, where I don't get syntax highlighting and things like that. I can even comment right from here, which is great. So like start a review with a comment, add a single comment. Um, and then so this arrow here, well, this file only has one, but if there was more than one change in the file, this would take me down to each difference. And then I can go to next file. Um, does this work for Bitbucket/GitLab too? I don't know the answer to that. I would have to check. When you open the tab for the first time, it gives you a chance to authenticate. And I think I had auto-selected GitHub because that's what I use. I didn't check if there were other tools. But I can just click this arrow and it takes me to the next file. Um, I could choose the unified viewer if I wanted that. Um, what else can we do? Um, yeah, I can like show comments on here if I want to. Um, I can submit the review anytime. Oh, that just opened some helper. But yeah, then I can click through this. I can see everything that's changed. Um, it's pretty cool. So here we can see actually this arrow then moves me through like each chunk of code that changed here. Um, it's one of the simpler diffs because a lot of it was new files, but yeah, had no idea that you could review pull requests right from Android Studio like that. You can even edit stuff right from here, so it has access to all of my labels. I can choose assignees, reviewers. Um, very cool. You can do pretty much all this workflow right from your IDE. So, and then what else is cool? So let me switch just to show you that this is a thing. Um, if I'm on a different branch, I can choose to check out. So like, let's say, I'm on my own branch and then, um, oh God, I lost the window. View tool windows. Where did you go? Oh my God. How do I get you back? View pull requests. But then, yeah, there's a checkout action. So if I'm like reviewing someone else's code, I can check out their branch. Boom, pretty cool. Oh, and I can see Danger left a comment on here. Um, yeah, I just wanted to show that off. I thought that was cool. That was a new thing that I learned today. Um, so I don't think it's a plugin. Um, I'm on, let's see, what version am I on? I'm on Arctic Fox, so pretty stable actually. Um, one thing you can do if you, and I know I love this shortcut if you don't know, if there's one keyboard shortcut I can impose on everyone watching, just one, Command Shift A, which lets you search actions. So if you forget how to do something, like let's say I forget how to format code, I can just do Command Shift A and type format, and then I can see options down here like reformat code, reformat file. So what I did is I did Command Shift A and I started typing pull requests, and now I can see here I can even create from GitHub, which I don't actually do this often or ever, um, but that's something we could do. Uh, but yeah, so I did Command Shift A and then it takes you to GitHub to log in. Got it. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that you would have to authenticate. Um, but I had just had no idea if they supported anything else. Um, so I'm wondering if we should go further with this domain logic. Like, should we implement it inside our demo test list repository? Or should we just, now that we have the use cases in place, we could start to sort of build out like the UI for this? Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so it is only for GitHub right now. I wouldn't be surprised if it's on their roadmap. Um, but maybe they picked GitHub because it's so popular, or I have no idea if like the APIs that the other source control tools offer is like as good. Um, I have no idea. Um, but I also have no idea if that comes from JetBrains or if that's something the GitHub folks worked on, or maybe there was some sort of partnership there. Who knows? Um, let's move on to do some UI code. We all love